I'll go back on the record in case People versus Brandon Martin. That's RIF 1506112. Here should reflect Mr. Martin as president of the council. Present all members of the jury. Next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. People called Peter Lowe. Yes.
My first name is Peter, spelled P-E-T-E-R. Last name is Lowe, spelled L-O.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Lowe.
Good morning.
Let me ask you, back on September the 22nd, 2015, where did you work?
Robert Presley Detention Center.
Okay. And what was your position at the Robert Presley Detention Center?
I was a clinical therapist with the FMH department.
What's FMH?
It's mental health. Okay.
And just so we're all clear, the Robert Presley Detention Center is the jail downtown Riverside?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you still working for the mental health department of the Riverside Sheriffs?
No.
When did you leave?
I'll say 2015, 16.
2016?
Yeah.
Okay. And where are you working now?
I'm for Kaiser Permanente right now.
And what's your position with Kaiser?
I'm a clinical therapist over there for Kaiser Addiction Medicine.
Okay. To be a clinical therapist, you need to go through some education and training?
Yes, you do need to go through a master's degree for graduate school, receiving a degree in psychology, either clinical or counseling, and then you'll go through a 3,000-hour intern hours, and then you'll pass your board licensure exams.
Okay. So the board is the procedure where the state of California provides you with a license to be a clinical therapist?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in September, oh, by the way, you're working for Kaiser now. Are they compensating you for your time off today?
No.
Okay. Have you come to the agreement that the people will compensate you for any hours of work you missed today?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to September 22nd, 2015, did you take part in doing an intake evaluation of somebody by the name of Brandon Martin?
Yes.
Can you explain to us what that means to do an intake evaluation to somebody coming into the jail?
Usually the intake process is done either referred by the classification department for requesting a housing eval. Looks like in this case, the patient was referred for a intake process due to the patient was released from the hospital, and then that's why we request the housing eval as a protocol.
Okay. And when you saw this person by Brandon Martin, he was a 22 years of age, African American male.
Yes.
Okay. And when you first through the intake, are you looking to see, making observations of the person?
Yes.
Observations as to his demeanor, his mood, aspects of that nature?
Yes, sir.
Now, would you ask him also about any previous hospitalizations?
Yes.
And through that, did you find out he went to ETS?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you also speak about relationships with any family members?
Yes.
Did you ask him about how his relationship with his mother was?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
Well, it's basically based on his own words that there was a sort of negative tensions between the family members, and that's what I can remember.
Okay. Did he tell you that the relationship was probably down the drain after the incident at the house?
Yes.
And those were his words?
Yes.
Okay. Did he appear to you to have anger issues, either by your observation or by him reporting to you or both?
Just based on the clinical notes, doesn't seem like he has. I mean, he does may present with some depressive symptoms at the times, but that's all we can observe at the time.
Okay. So he appeared to be depressed?
Yes.
Okay. Did he self-report to you that he had anger issues?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at the time you saw him, you noted a depressed mood. Did you observe any indications of psychosis?
Not at the moment.
And when we say psychosis, we're referring to any hallucinations?
There'll be hallucinations or probably delusions as well.
Okay. And you did not see those and did not report those in your report?
That wasn't observed at the moment.
In addition to observing him mentally, would you also take a substance abuse history?
Yes, we do.
Did you ask him if he had used, he being Brandon Martin, had used any drugs in the last 90 days?
Yes.
And what did he say?
Appears to be yes.
Do you know what the drug was?
I believe it was alcohol from the notes.
Do you have your report in front of you?
Yes, sir.
If you need to refer to page 4 to refresh your memory, have a look at page 4 under substance abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it appears as alcohol.
Okay. And was there any use of Norco?
For his pain management, yes.
Okay. So Norco is for the pain management after he'd been from the hospital where he was getting treated?
Yes.
For his physical problems? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
And in terms of the mental exam you did, his dress appeared to be appropriate?
Yes, sir.
Hygiene was appropriate?
Yes.
Speech was normal?
Yes.
He was making good eye contact?
Yes.
In terms of his interactions, he was responsive but somewhat guarded?
Yes.
We already talked about that his mood was depressed. In terms of his thought process, how did that appear to you?
It appears to be his functional at a somewhat normal levels. Just from the indication, he's able to kind of recall his relationship with his parents and what was going on at the time.
Did he appear to be goal-directed?
Yes.
And then in terms of, you mentioned in that evaluation, no hallucinations?
No.
And his level of consciousness, he appeared to be alert with good concentration?
Yes.
And he was orientated to person, place, and time?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
When did you obtain your clinical therapist license?
It was April of last year.
Okay, so at the time that you saw my client back in September of 2015, you were not yet licensed by the state?
Yeah, I was a registered associate. So at the time was an intern.
Okay.
So we're collecting.
Yeah.
So we were postgraduates, we graduated from our degrees, and then we're registered with the board behavior science with approximately 750 hours, clinical hours completed during graduate school. And after we completed, we all had to collect intern hours, and then this was one of the places we were supervised and also collecting our clinical hours as well.
Okay, so when you're working at the jail back in 2015, you're saying you're working under a supervisor, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Who was your supervisor at the time?
Dr. Darling.
Okay, and Dr. Callan, is he psychologist, psychiatrist? Do you know?
She's a psychologist.
Psychologist, thank you.
It's last name Dr. Darling. Darling, I believe.
Was she present when you spent time with Mr. Martin and generated these notes?
No.
Did she review these notes with you, your supervisor?
Yes, apparently we do also have a consultations regarding this patient as well afterwards.
Okay. Now, when you asked Mr. Martin whether he had a previous history of mental health, what did he tell you? I'm sorry, any mental health history, what did he tell you?
Apparently he was denying at the moment.
Okay, so I mean, your notes say inmate had no previous mental health history.
And then I do also have, the part of diagnosis over here. Inmate denied any psychosis. Inmate does not have any history regarding to the county health system.
Okay, so what you basically do is you ask him questions and he answers. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So your information is only as good as the information he gives you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. And do you do any investigation as to whether or not he's lying to you?
Not at the moment.
Okay. You asked him whether he'd taken any medication in the past, correct? Psychiatric medication, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he denied that, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And again, do you take any steps to determine whether he is in fact telling you the truth or lying to you?
No, which is based on his own sentences.
You asked him about any suicide attempts in the past, and he told you that 3 years earlier he had attempted suicide. Is that correct?
Can you refer to the page?
Thank you. Let me see the last page, page 6. Next to last page. Then.
Yes.
Inmate attempted suicide 3 years ago by giving himself a fracture. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's what you wrote.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you have a second report, and is this what you were talking about? You call it a clinical meeting, basically?
Yes, sir.
Is that where you? Well, tell us what that is.
So basically, during the every intern are required to have supervision hours, and also we have individual and group supervision hours, and these meetings are required by the board. So we will have weekly meetings and then discuss any patients or any high-profile patient or any patient's issues that need to be discussed with the clinical supervisor.
And at some point in your notes, you indicated that you felt that Mr. Martin was at a high risk of suicide, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so when you do that, what does that trigger in the jail?
Can you show that again, please?
Sure. If you say that this inmate is a high risk of suicide, does the jail treat this inmate differently?
No.
Okay. Lastly, you also recommended that the patient be referred to a psychiatrist for a medical evaluation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why would you generate that opinion?
No, number one is protocol, and number two is also because due to the inmate's hospitalization histories, we do refer to a psychiatrist as well.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
No redirect.
Excuse.
Thank you.
You're excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
With that, subject to the admission of your exhibit, your arrest.
No, we're going to cross-examine Sean Martin.
Right, I understand. But that was their witness, so.
Oh. Yes, sorry.
So your arrest subject to the admission of your exhibit. Are we recalling Mr. Martin?
Yes.
All right, then let's do that.
Okay.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you'll recall Mr. Martin testified earlier in the trial. He is still under the same oath that was previously administered. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
And again, in your notes, to the extent that you stopped on the correct, you're now going to cross. This was a defense witness. So, first one.
Thank you. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Let me go back to, well, in fact, let me ask you a question, which is a little bit off the wall first.
Okay.
At the Winthrop house, when a family member comes home, do they normally drive up into the driveway, click the garage opener, and come through into the garage?
Family member or like immediate, like my parents and myself?
Parents, yep.
It depends. It's either or. So if they had, let's say, something they were getting from the store, they would go through the garage because we had a refrigerator in there, put the groceries in there, or vice versa. So, yeah.
Okay, I know from my home, I can't remember the last time I saw the front door, because I drive up, driveway, click the clicker, and walk into the house. So that would be not uncommon for your family members to do that.
No, not at all. I did that every time.
Okay. Now, going back to 2011, that's when your brother Brandon Martin signed that $860,000 contract, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, we know that you were off in Oregon playing ball, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, you were not around during the time that Brandon got the mansion in Yorba Linda.
No, I was in Oregon.
Yeah. And in fact, you only went to that mansion once during the time that Brandon had that.
Sorry. I have been there twice, sir.
Twice?
Yes.
Well, we know the first time was when you went to the workout room and your brother kind of threw shade at you, correct?
Yes.
And when was the second time?
The second time was around Christmas, probably that same year.
Was that for a party there?
Yes.
Okay. When you were at the party, was this a New Year's Eve party or?
Holiday, Christmas, New Year's Eve, around there, yeah.
Was it a small gathering or a large gathering?
It was pretty large.
Okay. Was Budgel there?
Budgel. Not that I recall, no.
Okay. When you were there, did you see drug use?
I saw people smoking weed, yes.
Okay.
And cigarettes, if you consider those drugs as well, and alcohol.
Acid?
No.
Mushrooms?
No.
Ecstasy?
No, sir.
Cocaine?
No, sir.
Okay. And you weren't smoking weed?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Because you don't do drugs?
I have before, yeah.
Okay. Just weed?
Just weed, yes.
Yeah. And in terms of you seeing Brandon, you've only seen Brandon do weed a couple of times?
I've probably seen him do it once in my life.
Okay. So you weren't aware of the hard drugs that Brandon was using at Yorba Linda?
Not at all. I would have stopped it right there.
Now, then after the Yorba Linda, he goes to spring training in 2012, and you're back in Oregon, yep?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you don't see him really during that time. The next time you really see him is at the Eagle Glen House in off-season 2012?
No, like I was mentioning with the defense, he came up a couple times during the season to watch some games.
Okay. Up to Oregon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And everything was fine up there?
No.
Okay. Was this in 2012?
Yes, sir. At the end, so I would say those times it was in Oregon, we played in November. So that's the last game of the year. And then in 2013, he came up again. Yeah, against Washington.
In 2013?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, yeah. So those two times, it was 2012 once, and then 2013 the next year.
Okay. And I think you, on direct, already spoke about that Oregon trip.
Yeah.
And that he appeared to be maybe on drugs or maybe something else was going on. Weren't really sure. Yeah,
my brother's like me, very reserved, and when I saw him there, it was a complete 180 of a person that's reserved.
Again, true. And during this time, you had no idea of the drug use he was going through.
No.
Okay. Now, let's go back to September the 15th, which is, I think we're all referring to this incident as the scissors incident.
Yeah, we call it that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's call it that. Now, if I remember correctly, when you testified on direct, that you and your mom were trying to get him to do something, and he didn't want to do it.
Yes, I woke up. Oh,
Just
sorry.
let me stop you there, because
Yeah, no problem.
we've already heard your explanation on direct. I just want to kind of hone you in on where I'm going. So there was you and your mom wanted him to do something. He didn't want to do something, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you went into his room, or did that used to be your room?
It was, so we had a bunk bed there. We had, I think my aunt and uncle lived with us at the time. They moved out, and then we got our own separate rooms, and then that was his room again later on. Yeah.
So you went into his room, get him to try and do something, which is, I think, going to see the psychotherapist.
Well, we didn't go in. We knocked on the door, and he opened it, and so we were like right outside of it.
Okay. And you said, as you were trying to get him to do something he did not want to do, he kind of let out some kind of earth-shattering yell. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And this yelling was so earth-shattering, it kind of set your bones in chips. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So pretty scary thing just happened to you, correct?
Yes.
I mean, you've never heard a yell like this before?
One time before, it was not like direct, but I was washing my car one day, and I heard it. It was like he was covering his mouth through a pillow, like trying to like ease it down.
Okay. But right there, and this is when he picks up the scissors?
Yeah, so picked him up,
Okay.
and he was just like, just leave me alone, and I know my brother, I know what sets him off, and it's a touch. And so I felt very confident in being able to walk away from the situation and get a golf club to shoo him back into his room.
Okay. Did he say anything to you when he picked up the scissors?
No, he was just...
Hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to respond to my question,
Yes, sir.
and then I'm going to ask you another question, and you'll respond to that one, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, do you remember speaking to an Officer Samano on the 17th of September 2015 at the Corona Police Department?
I don't remember who it was. All I know is I remember one of the person that drove me there was a friend from school that I knew my whole life.
But you remember speaking to a police officer at the Corona Police Department?
Vaguely. It was like a blackout moment. I don't remember. I just remember going there and waking up in the morning.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you remember telling Officer Samano that when Brandon Martin picked up the scissors, he said, and I quote, "I'll fucking kill both of you. You guys are shit." Does that ring a bell?
No, sir. And again, it was literally an hour after it happened. I don't remember.
Exactly. Things were raw, and
Yeah.
you're saying what's in your mind at the time. Would you want to look at page 3 of the Samano transcript up there?
Is this it?
No. If you can find a folder that says Sean Martin,
Where would the folder be at?
did you take it? Well, perhaps I can use the Elmo and do it.
Well, if you have the folder.
Have a look.
Doing that, do you have the spelling of the officer, Samano?
Samano, S-A-M-A-N-O.
You have a
Yes, Sean, if you go to page 3, line 12.
Of which folder? There's a couple of them.
Okay, look at the transcript that says, interview with Sean Martin, 9/17/2015, Samano, Officer
Oh.
Samano.
Sorry, yes, I see it.
Top one?
Yes.
Go to page 3.
I'm here.
Okay, if you go to page 3, you look at line 12.
Yes, I see it.
Okay, and this is a transcript of the recording that the officer made when the officer was talking to you, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So you see the line, I'll fucking kill both of you, you guys are shit.
Yes, I see it.
Does that refresh your memory in terms of what you told Officer Samano?
Sir, literally it was an hour after my uncle and dad were killed. I don't remember anything. I'm sorry. I don't.
Well, let's go back then to 9/15.
Okay.
Okay, so you remember 9/15 when he picked up the scissors?
Yes.
Yeah, you remember 9/15 when he let out this earth-shattering yell?
Yes, sir.
You remember that it set your bones on chips?
It did, sir. Yes.
You remember that
Yes, sir.
clearly,
Clear as day.
but you do not remember him saying to you and your mom at the time, "I'm fucking kill both of you. You guys are shit."
No, because when he came, the scissors, I ran downstairs.
Well, you told Officer Samano that's what you remember him saying.
Okay.
Okay, so you're saying you have no memory of those words from 9/15, but you remember the whole incident apart from that, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now, on that 9/15 incident, you say that you went downstairs to get a golf club.
Yes, I did.
Okay, because your brother had scissors he had scissors in his hands,
Yes.
and he was making threats.
The scissors were the threat, yes.
And so you decided that you need to get a golf club to defend yourself and your mom.
Yes, I had it the night before. Mm-hmm.
Did you went downstairs to get the golf club?
Yes, I did.
But you ran downstairs to get the golf club.
Yes.
You remember when you testified just a few days ago, you said you walked downstairs calmly and grabbed the golf club. Do you remember saying that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, which was it? Did you run downstairs or did you
Well,
walk calmly downstairs?
I would say it was in between both. It was like a calm, brisk jog. It wasn't like, let me go slow motion, sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
now we have 3 versions of this. We have walking downstairs calmly, we have running downstairs.
Objection argumentative.
We have 3 versions. Next question.
Okay, we have 3 versions. Right, next question is, you said when you testified that you walked down calmly because you weren't worried about your brother using the scissors. You remember that?
I wasn't, yes.
And you said you weren't worried because every time you've gotten into a conflict with him, it's because you, Sean, touched him and initiated the conflict. Remember saying that?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Okay. Now, let's go to 2/14. When I say 2/14, I'm referring to February 2014. Remember you told us about the time you broke your hand in a fight with Brandon?
Yes, sir, yes.
And you remember you told us that fight happened because he maybe had dog urine on his hand and he smushed it into your face. Remember that?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And because he initiated that contact with you, you then decided to hit back at him, correct?
Yes, sir, yes.
Thank you. Now, let me ask you about 3/15. And when I say 3/15, I'm referring to March 2015. You remember calling the police on that date?
Yes, and they never showed up.
My question, Sean, was, do you remember calling the police on that date?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. And you called the police that day because your brother hit your dad in the face and said, I hit him in his face, fucking pussy, I just hit him. Do you remember that?
That is a completely different story. If you let me tell the story, I could let you guys know what happened.
Well, I'm asking you, did you call the police on 3/15/2015?
Yes. Yes, not for that incident.
Did you, well, if you like to look at the 3/5/2015 transcript of 911 call, and it would be on page 2.
Page 2. What line?
Line 1.
Do you know your driver's license number? That one with Samano?
No, not Samano. I'm talking about, it's a 4-page transcript of a 911 call.
Okay. Let's see. Gotcha. I'm here. There's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. Go to the first one, which says track 1. At the bottom of the page, you'll see page 1, and it'll say track 1.
Track 1.
At the very bottom right-hand side.
Okay, I'm
See
here.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So to go to page 2.
Okay. I'm here.
Okay, and on page 2, this is a transcript of a recording, and it says here that my brother's he's going crazy. He hit my dad. I came downstairs and he's like, I hit him in his face. Fucking pussy. I just hit him. Do you remember making those statements to 911?
No, sir. That did not happen.
Okay. Let me stop you there.
Oh, wait. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. And then, did you also say to the police, and that you did not want the police to arrive, and you cancelled the call because your brother was leaving the house? Do you remember saying that?
I was on the phone and he left, and so I told him, yeah, he took off.
Okay.
Yes.
So you didn't want the police to come, right?
Yes. After that, he wasn't there. Yeah.
Right.
No need to.
But then you remember calling the police back a few minutes later and telling them that your brother had just returned back to the house and had given you a bloody lip.
Well, that's not how it happened,
But
and
listen
yeah.
to the question.
I am, sir.
Okay. So the question is, do you remember calling the police after your brother came back and gave you a bloody lip? Do you remember saying that to the police?
No, I don't, if that's the case. No.
Now look at the transcript, which is of the 911 call, and that's going to be track 2.
Line 1? You said?
Yeah, no, if you look at track 2, if you go to line 17, do you remember telling them, hi, I just called a couple of minutes ago saying that my brother was at the house, but he's coming in the house right now, and he just hit me already. He gave me a bloody lip. Do you remember telling the police that?
And it was so fast-paced. No, I don't remember.
Okay. Now, this 9/15 incident, which you're saying you walked downstairs calmly because you knew your brother wouldn't initiate any violence towards you or your family, correct?
Unless touched, yes.
Okay. And this is the incident where it was so serious that you needed to call your family members to say we need to beat his ass, correct?
Yes, I was mad.
Yeah. And during that time, I mean, that incident was so serious to you that you needed to get the family together and beat his ass, correct?
Yes, yes.
Now, during this period, I mean, this is, oh, by the way, when was your brother released by the Rays? Was it March of 2015?
It was like the early months. I'd say maybe January, maybe February 15.
Yeah, so
yeah,
it was around about this period of 2015.
Yeah, like a month or two before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was angry at that time, right, about being released?
Very despondent, really. He just went to his room. He was just by himself.
He was just by himself?
Yeah.
He wasn't angry at all?
Unless it was March, July, September, December, that's when you saw it.
Okay. So he gets bounced by the Rays.
Yeah.
All his money's gone, right?
He had some.
Okay. And he was angry at your parents, though, right?
He was angry at all of us, really.
Right. He was angry at your dad, right?
Yeah, he was.
Was there any particular reason why he was angry about your dad?
Well, what he told me was just he heard my dad always talking shit to him upstairs.
Okay. No. Is there any particular reason why Brandon Martin was angry at your dad?
Not that I can see. My dad
Okay,
didn't do any.
let me ask you another question. Did Brandon Martin tell you that he always hated his dad because his dad was black?
No.
Okay. Do you remember being interviewed by Investigator Fuller of the Riverside County Deputy District Attorney's Office?
I do not recall. Was it the day of the murders?
No, this interview was on 9/23/2015.
Was this at, I guess, my apartment in Mission Viejo?
Yeah, Investigator Fuller came down and visited you, went and saw you down there.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but I remember the interview. Yeah, we had one. Mm-hmm.
Good-looking black guy.
I mean, I don't know. I don't judge people like that.
Well, don't look in the mirror, Sean. So I'm talking about he came down to see you, Investigator Fuller,
Mm-hmm.
and he recorded the interview.
Okay.
And during that interview, he asked you if Brandon had any hatred or anger at his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that now?
Yeah, he called us. Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And then and you told Investigator Fuller regarding that, for some reason, something got in his head where it was not good to be black. He always hated Dad for it. Do you remember telling the investigator that?
Yes, at times he would come out as both of us, yes.
Okay. But you said he always hated Dad for it. Remember that?
I don't remember my words. No,
Okay.
I don't.
If you'd like to look at the transcript, this is the large transcript.
Okay.
73 pages. If you look at page 53,
Okay.
you see that, page 53?
Yes, I'm here.
Look at line 19.
Yes, I read it. Yes.
Right, so on line 19, does that refresh your memory that you told Investigator Fuller that he always hated your dad for being black?
I don't think I said always hated, but at the time, through the illness, yes. He was under the impression that he hated him for some reason.
Okay, so you're saying he always hated him for some reason?
With the illness, not when we were growing up, yes.
Okay, well,
Through that time.
on page 53, you say he always hated my dad for it. When you told Investigator Fuller, there was no qualification that it was just during this period
Mm-hmm.
since he got the contract, correct?
Correct. No, it didn't say it. You're right.
Okay. And then, and he would call your dad and yourself the N-word.
Yes.
Okay. So, fair to say that there was anger there towards your dad and also to your mom and also to you. When he was taken to ETS, you weren't happy about him being taken to ETS, were you?
No, I wasn't.
No. In fact, you did not want him to be detained for 5150, correct?
No, it was a very emotional time.
Right. And in fact, you were in the pool room in tears concerning the whole incident with the police being there.
Yes.
Okay. Because you were concerned about his future in baseball, correct?
Concerned about everything.
Okay. And in fact, you were concerned also because you see your brother as being somewhat of a complete con artist, right?
No.
Now let's go back to the interview that you had with Samano at the police station. If you look at the transcript, page 8 of the Samano transcript, line 14.
You said page 8?
Page 8.
Okay. I'm guessing the highlighted section?
Yes, so line 14, you see that? Just read that. Now, do you remember telling Samano that that your brother is a complete con artist and he can act calm, but inside he's just a ticking time bomb?
I can recall saying that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can imagine myself saying that. Yeah.
Sure. Wait for the next question if there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was talking to myself.
Okay. Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
I do, briefly. Sean. Morning.
Good morning, Ned.
Can you tell us how the death of your father and your uncle has impacted your family?
It's impacted everyone, family, friends, everybody. We used to be a very close-knit family, always hung out. Now it's just, man, I feel like I'm alone, very alone.
Feel like you're alone?
Yeah.
Has it affected your relationship with your mom?
No, I love her. I always have.
What did your dad mean to you?
He was everything. He was a selfless man. Like I mentioned earlier, he raised us. He wanted us to grow up to be successful. And I remember after his funeral, my aunt told us that me and my brother were the greatest things he's ever done in his life. And I couldn't believe it. He's done so much. He's acted in movies. He's done so many different things. But to hear that, it broke my heart.
Difficult for you to be here?
I'd rather have a 400-pound lineman running at me to tackle. I'd rather have that. Let's say that.
No, it's been 5 years for you.
Yeah.
Going through this.
It's been more than that.
What would it do to you if your brother was to receive, and how would it affect you if your brother was to receive the death penalty?
To be honest, I couldn't even think about it. I don't even want to go there.
Okay.
In my mind, I don't want to even go there.
I need you to go there right now. The jury needs to know how this would affect you.
It would destroy me. I've been working very hard to get myself out of this hole. The last 8 years, since 2012, to just be normal, just to have a life that is not filled with, sadness and just resentment. Wishing I could go back in time, and so to be almost there and to have that happen, it would kill me. I'd be done for. I'm barely holding on as it is.
Is your brother important to you in your life right now?
Yeah, he's the only sibling I got. He's the only one I ever have in my life.
Do you want to have a relationship with him moving forward?
I thought about it for the longest, and yes, I do. When it happened, I was very angry, very, very angry. But I just thought to myself, Sean, you know the reason, you know why it happened, you know why he was like this, and I forgave him instantly after that.
You love your brother?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
No, thank you.
Please witness stand excused.
Yes.
Yes. You're excused. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our recess at this time. Remind all of you not to discuss facts of this case amongst yourselves or with anyone unrelated to the trial.